Hi everyone, it's time for another Monday Musings. It is not Monday, it is Wednesday night, the Wednesday before you see this video. But I'm making it early because I will be unavailable on next Monday. So I wanted to make it early, and I had fun playing tonight, so I wanted to share this with you. I hope you're not getting sick of the chalky finish paints, because this is about that again, but it's also a lot more. This box, it's paper mache box. I got it from Michael's on clearance, or maybe it was Hobby Lobby on clearance for like $2, something like that. And it started out its life just like this, just plain old brown paper mache. And this little box is only $1.79 at Hobby Lobby, so I think that's where I got it. But anyway, I'm going to do the same thing to this that I did to this box. So it has embossed into the sides a strip all around the box with the grapes on it. And here's how I made it. I am in love with this box. I didn't know if I was in love with it until I started stamping on it, and then it just really came to life. But here's what I did. I used, first of all, I used chalky finish paint in Remembrance. This is a kind of a light violet. In fact, it matches the Traditions light violet. Anyway, I painted all of my grapes with that, and I didn't seal or anything, no prep or anything at all on this box. So I did my grapes with that, and then I also painted the bottom, the sides, and the insides with the same color. And I did the same thing with the lid. You can see it's there if you look really close. I hope you can see this. You can see the pink in there, or the purple. It's light purple. It's light violet, kind of a light red violet, but you can see it in there, and it looks pink. You can see it here as well. And so I painted the grapes and the whole thing with this color. Then I came in with this color called New Life, and I painted all of the leaves and the vines with that color, and then I also added this same color to the sides, inside and out, all over the place. You can see it on all the pieces. But when I painted this, I painted it with a large brush. This is it's called Stain It from Sharp, and it's kind of a bristle brush, but it's nice because it's heavy duty, and I was using it heavy duty. I had my light violet on there, and I dipped into my green, my New Life, and I just went like this with it, not trying to cover, but just slapping it on there. Really, it's a slip slap, but I made sure that I did not cover all of my purple. So that's what I did all over the same way, just, you know, as fast as this. This was a really quick and fun paint. I think it took me 2 hours altogether. So I did that, and then the next thing to do was to take this, which is called Enchanted, and it's a darker green, and it's a yellow green, just the same as the New Life is, but it's darker. So I used that just as kind of to add some shading and a little bit of variation and tone to my my leaves and vines, and then I painted these two stripes with it. Now, you know, I didn't use very much of this, so if you didn't want to spend the money for another bottle jar, you could take just a tiny bit of black, teeny tiny touch of black, and add to this and get this. So you could mix that color. Okay, so that's all I used that for. Then next came this color, which is called Heritage, and it's kind of a medium beige color. And I did the same thing with it that I did to the green. I took some of this and put it on this brush and just slapped it on there, and made sure that I did not cover all of my green and all of my purple. So I've got 3 colors layered on there, but I've got all 3 colors showing. And you can kind of see it here. On the bottom here, you can't see much of the green. It's there, just a couple of places, but I kind of got it covered up on the bottom, but you can see it on the lid. You can see it here and here, some up in here, and then here's the purple, and then right here is that beige. Okay, so I've got those 3 colors on there, and then after that okay, I know what I did next. After that, I took the clear, before I forget, I also spent some time with a smaller brush. It was this Maureen McNaughton round one, and I took this same color, Heritage, and colored in all around here. I didn't try to get every tiny place covered, but I put it in there because I wanted kind of a base coat to be there, not just the plain paper mache. So that's the 2 ways that I used that color. So then my next step was to take the clear cream wax, and I took this same small brush and I dipped it in, and I waxed only the leaves, the vines, and the grapes. And now again, I didn't worry about getting off of that vine. I just went over it with wax, and there's still lots of space in between that didn't have the wax on it. I did that to protect it, because my next step was to take the golden brown wax and wash it over top of this, all around this strip, this ribbon. And then I took a paper towel and just kind of wiped it back. I made sure I didn't remove all of it, but I didn't want it to be full strength on there, but I wanted it to kind of give it a yellow, golden kind of thing. If you will look at these 2 colors, they also are in the same color family. This, I believe you could add some brown to this, burnt umber, raw umber, no, not raw. Maybe some yellow oxide, maybe, and some burnt umber. Not really sure. I hadn't really checked it out yet, but again, you can mix a little something and into this and get this. So, but this is a wax. This is not a color. This is a wax. And there is another darker brown wax, but this is the golden brown. So I put that on this strip. So now this wax is, this strip is colored and it's tinted and it's protected. So the next thing I did then was take one more color, and that's lace, and that's an off-white, kind of, not really a warm white, just barely off-white. And I took this same brush again, and I just, let me find the lid, and I just slapped it on there. Again, not covering my other colors. So there's my 4 layers of color on there, and you can see some of every one of them, because I wanted this to look like it had been painted several times and then just kind of wore off. Okay? So after that, then came the exciting part, because I liked it, but I just wasn't really happy with it. So I got out my stamps. This is my favorite Tim Holtz stamp of all for backgrounds, and it's just scratchy, and I just love it. I've used it for so many different things, and this is also one that I love very much, and it's the coffee splatter. So I took the Wendy Vecchi watering can archival ink. It's kind of a gray, and up until then I'd kind of had some warm colors, so this was to contrast it. And I stamped the coffee splatter right here, because I wanted it to look like someone had set a bottle or something, a cup there or something at one time, and marred the finish. And then all over the place I took the scratchy stamp and just stamped it everywhere, randomly, here and there, on all the sides, on the insides as well, on this inside. And it just did exactly what I was looking for. It made it look like the finish on this box was just scratched like crazy over so many years, and that all the abuse it had taken had just marred it so badly. And that was the perfect touch, and it was a nice surprise. It was kind of an experiment, and it was just perfect. So, did all of that. Then next came, I wanted some crackle on it. Now the chalky paint comes with a crackle medium, but I didn't want to use it because I didn't want to put another cover over it. And the way the chalky finish crackle medium works is you put down a base color, and then you put the medium, and then you put another color over. But I had all my colors on here that I wanted, so I used the Ranger Distress crackle paint. It's the clear rock candy. It's a crackle paint that you can put right on, and you don't have to put anything over top of it. The crackle is in it. It's clear, and it just brushes right on. So I brushed it randomly again. I put not a whole lot of it on this top, because I wanted it, again, not to crackle completely, but in different places. I put it on all over each edges of the ribbon, and then I put it heavily on the corners, and heavy on some sides and not so much on other sides. And I also put it on the bottom. I let that dry. I know that you can use your heat gun to dry it, but I wanted it to dry naturally and crack naturally, and so I waited about an hour, hour and a half, went and ate supper, and then came back to it. So the next step then was to use, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, so I tried a couple of things. I tried some different inks and stuff, and I came up with the perfect idea. I used the Tim Holtz Distress Stain in Pumice Stone and Vintage Photo, and I really only used the Vintage Photo on this bottom, and that's why it looks a little bit brown, because I used the bottom to do my experimenting. This is what got the paint first, this got the stamping first, and this got the crackle first. So I experimented a little bit with the Vintage Photo, and I just took it and squeezed it hard and rubbed it really hard in the crackle parts, and you can see where it's embedded. But then I was also, since I was testing, I tested the Pumice Stone, and that's what I liked the best, because it just put that gray on there that really went with the stamp, with the watering can color of the stamp. This label makes it look a little brown, but this is actually a nice gray color. So what I did then is I went all the way around all sides where my crackle was, and I just squeezed the Pumice Stone on it, and to where it was just standing stain on here, just really heavy. And I let it sit there for about 10 seconds, and then I took shop towel and blotted it. I didn't wipe it because that would remove too much. I blotted it, and I left it. I didn't blot it on the crackle parts, but I blotted on the parts that didn't have the crackle, and that left just enough color to make it look dirty. And I did this again randomly, so that it just looks like it's gotten dirty over all the years. And on the inside I did the same thing. I took this the stain bottle, and I put it in, and I just squeezed it until it was liquid running, and then I just started turning the box and letting that stain run all over the place. And I didn't really blot in here. I did not use the crackle on the inside, but let's see. Well, you know, at first when I did this, you know, I let it drip all over the place, and I stood it up and tapped it, and stood it up and tapped it, and you know, I thought I'd be able to see the drips, and I can't really, but that's kind of cool because it just all blends in, and when it dries, it just works. It just works. I'm just so pleased with it. And the only other thing that I have left to do now is to take my piece of shop towel. You can use cotton, you can use t-shirt material, you can use a brush, but I like doing it with a rag. And I'm going to dip in to my clear cream wax, and I'm just going to go over it with that clear generously. And the reason that I'm choosing to use wax instead of varnish is because this is a paper mache box, and I've painted it, and I've painted all the edges. And one thing that we have learned over the years is if you wax the edges of your paper mache box after it's painted, then the lid will not stick to the box. So that's why I chose wax. I'm going to wax it inside and out, and then when it dries, which is really only a few minutes, then I'm going to buff it, and I'll be finished. And I'm not sure yet what I want to keep in this. At first I thought that I would do this box to have to take to craft show to sell, but I'm so pleased with this that I don't think I want to let it go. So I may just keep it and keep maybe some of my Tim Holtz stuff in it or something like that, since it's got some Tim Holtz things on it. Now, because I'm waxing and this is introducing wet media, that's why I stamped with archival ink, because it's an oil solvent based ink and it won't move once it's dry. And I gave it about 2 hours to dry. Finished this about 2 hours ago. So there, I'm already finished waxing the lid, and it's dry on the top almost. And I'm going to get another little piece of towel, and I'm just dipping it into the cream wax and just rubbing it on. And I'll go back over that ribbon again, even though there's wax on it already. But by waiting until this had time to completely dry, then that really lessens the chance of anything moving. Now, the distress stains, are water soluble, but they've dried on here, and I believe that I'm not really going to get a lot of movement from it, but if I do, it doesn't matter because it's on there so randomly anyway. So let me get the bottom. See how quickly you can finish this. And I'm going to get the inside. This is just a fun little box to work with. It's big enough to have room for my hands to work, and it's small enough that it's not awkward to lift and move around. Almost finished. I just have to do that actual bottom. Make sure I get all of it. And I'm pretty much done except for the buffing. So the top of this is just about dry, not quite. You can warm this to dry it a little bit, but you don't want to get it too warm because you don't want to melt the wax. Okay, and then I'm just going to take another piece of towel and I'm just going to buff it, and I have a really nice matte finish. If I wanted to make this shiny, I could varnish it with a satin or a gloss. I definitely don't want it to be gloss because that would kind of ruin the feel of the piece and the vintage look. But if you wanted it a little bit shinier, you could use a satin varnish, but I'm going to keep it matte. So I hope you enjoyed this. I have a lot of different products here in my art room. I like to mix media. I love doing mixed media, and I like to mix my paper crafting things in with my painting things, because to me that's the best of both worlds. And this box does that. So I hope you like it as much as I do, and I will see you the next Monday again. Have a great week. Bye.